To this point, we've been recognizing programs, outstanding administrators, and now we ask, what are the programs for? And one of the important contributors to that is our outstanding Pennsylvania Author Illustrator Award. We recognize the people that make the great materials that we share with folks. Maria White will present PA Outstanding Author Illustrator Award.
Writing a brief speech about this year's winner of the PSLA Author Illustrator Award was really difficult because of his amazing range and amount of work. So I picked a few details that were the most impressive and interesting to me.
Thank you.
So let's start with some numbers about this amazing author. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records because as of July 2011, he has 113 titles to his credit. He's the most prolific anthologist of poetry for children. I will tell you, out of everything I told my students, being in the Guinness Book of World Records for poetry was just stellar to them. As for his Pennsylvania connection, he was born in Scranton and spent the first 10 years of his life there. Later on as a teacher, he came up with the idea of using poetry to help children learn to read. But he soon realized that poetry could actually introduce every subject area. Some quotes from Lee about his philosophy. He has an unflagging belief that poetry is a necessity for children, at home and of course also in the classroom. About reading, he says, "You must teach children to love books. We spend too much time teaching children to read and not enough time teaching them to love to read." He has put together collections about math, holidays, animals, space, sports, famous people, you name it. He has also written classroom professional materials, young adult books, picture books, autobiographies, again, everything you can think of. He has established 2 awards to encourage the recognition of poetry. These include the Lee Bennett Hopkins Poetry Award and the Lee Bennett Hopkins International Reading Association Promising Poet Award. Himself, he has won, of course, many other awards. Just a few examples are the NCTE Award for Excellence in Poetry for Children, the Christopher Award, which salutes media that affirms the highest values of the human spirit, and the Golden Kite Honor Book Award for his autobiographical poetry collection. I could go on about how prolific and wonderful he is, but I wanted to conclude with the most powerful words I could, which are children's reactions to his work. I read much of his poetry to students in my primary level classes. I told them I had the honor of presenting him an award and asked them what they thought that he should hear. Some of my favorite responses were, "I like the poem about how pets give you kisses and hugs because my pets do that." All the poems were great, and I think he works really hard. I can't believe that he wrote so many poems. I want him to write a book about Amelia. Tell him that's me. Your books are a delight. I thought I misheard and asked the child to clarify vocabulary, but the word he used was delight. I'm really creative like you, and I want to be a poem writer like you someday. I hope you write at least 1 more book. And probably my favorite, who could ever be happy without you? I know. I did that too, and all my kids were like, ew, but. When children are relating your work to their lives, using exclamation points and interesting vocabulary to react to your writing, and wanting to become poets because of you, that's when you know you've really succeeded as an author. Thank you, Lee Bennett Hopkins, for writing and editing such wonderful books and poems that inspire and delight children and the rest of us. I'm pleased to announce the winner of the 2014 PSLA Author Illustrator Award to be Lee Bennett Hopkins. Accepting the award on Lee's behalf is his niece, Kimberly Yavorski.
Hello, when I was first asked to accept this award today, I was flattered and excited. My next thought was, oh no.
Everyone's going to be expecting to hear Lee Bennett Hopkins speak, and wow, will they be disappointed to see me instead. So I was going to start this morning by apologizing that you have to listen to me. However, when finalizing my comments the other day, I realized maybe that's really not so bad. You may not get to hear him speak, but you do get an opportunity to get a rare glimpse of the man behind the legend. I am sorry that he is not able to be here today to accept the award himself, as I know he is. Honestly, I would be perfectly happy sitting there with you, listening to him. On a cold and very likely a snowy day back in February, I received a phone call. My uncle Lee had just returned from a trip to find a letter informing him that he had been selected as this year's recipient of the Outstanding Pennsylvania Author Award. He was thrilled to be selected for this honor and was calling to ask me to accept in his stead since he was unable to make it here himself. As pleased as he was to have the title Outstanding Pennsylvania Author, as he learned more details about the selection criteria and the list of honorees whom he would soon be joining, he became more excited. I would say even awed to be placed in such high esteem and in such distinguished company. Growing up, I got used to people being impressed that my uncle was an author, but I would shrug it off. To me, he was simply Uncle Lee, someone who was fun to spend time with and whom I loved dearly. He ensured that I had a good supply of quality literature, which I of course thought was normal. Doesn't everyone have their own personal library? When I got older and realized this was not the case, I was shocked. A house without books makes about as much sense to me as a house without food. We spent much quality time together. He took me to museums, the theater, the ballet, the zoo, book fairs, amusement parks, and every so often, I got to meet my own personal superheroes, authors of children's books. He encouraged me to read, write, and learn as much as I possibly could, even pushing me to write to one of my favorite authors, which resulted in a couple years' worth of personal correspondence that I cherish today. Lee's Pennsylvania roots run deep. He was born in Scranton and has made many visits to the Keystone State to address children, teachers, and librarians. He made sure that one of the poetry awards he established, the Lee Bennett Hopkins Poetry Award, would have a connection to his native state by giving a Pennsylvania group the task of selecting and presenting each year's recipient. Although this responsibility has changed hands over the past 20 years, it remains in the state. The award is currently administered by Penn State University, to which he has also bequeathed his lifelong collection of children's books. I was present at the inaugural award presentation at the Governor's Mansion in 1993, as well as several others in the first few years. He and I recently reminisced about the early award ceremonies, which were held right here in Hershey, which makes this award that much sweeter. I am incredibly proud of my uncle, but rather indulging in a brag fest, I want to share his words, pulled from several emails about today. He said, "I am beyond thrilled to receive the 2014 Outstanding Pennsylvania Author Award by the Pennsylvania School Librarians Association. This is truly exciting. Receiving this honor is truly a dream come true. Having been born in Scranton, establishing the only poetry award of its kind in Pennsylvania, and bequeathing my library to Penn State, I feel I am giving back something to the place where I was born. I am filled with joy over this wondrous honor. Your association has made a grown-up man, born at 806 Viola Street in Scranton, be a child again, haunting a library in the Bull's Head area, which was my private place to wish, hope, dream. I still recall a librarian there introducing me to the Saturdays I was and write, such precious memories. To Pennsylvania and its school librarians, a big thank you. Always have good books, good times, ready and waiting for our youth." If he were here, I am certain he would conclude with a reading of his poem, Good Books, Good Times. Having heard Henry say that poem, I feel I cannot do it justice. So instead, I would like to close with a selection from my favorite book, my favorite of his books, the autobiographical Into Yesterdays. These are inspirational lines, which I'm sure any one of us could imagine hearing from a child who has recognized the magical power of words. The book closes, "To make this world a whole lot brighter, when I grow up, I'll be a writer." I believe he's done just that. Thank you.